Hi, my name is Gareth. In this lesson, we are going to talk about word processing, its two most popular applications, and learn how to navigate their menus and layouts. Keyboarding, which is typing information into a computer, is expected in more than 60% of all jobs. And in jobs that require computer or math skills, they are expected 100% of the time. For this reason, being able to type information can be hugely important. And one of the key ways you do that is with creating Word documents. Microsoft Word and Google Docs are two of the most common applications for word processing. In fact, proficiency with just Microsoft Word specifically has long been considered one of the top 20 skills for all occupation. Meanwhile, according to a survey concluded in 2024, Google's Workspace suite now has 44% of the market share, compared with Microsoft Office's 30%. It's clear that anyone in the workplace is likely to run into one or more of these applications. So let's learn about them. One of the biggest differences between these two is Word can be used in both a desktop application and browser version. Almost all features of the desktop app are available in the online browser version, but there are some differences. Let's open the Word application. When you open the app, you should see a screen like this, where you can pick a blank document. If you are on the website and choose to open the browser version of Word, you'll see something like this. If you want to use Google Docs on a desktop, you need to open your Google account and click the group of dots, sometimes called the waffle. This will give you the menu of all currently available Google applications, including Docs. In Docs, the Start New Document screen may have templates and a list of your recent documents, or it may only present you with a simple blank document option. Our blank Word document will look something like this. At the top, we have menus and ribbon. If we look at the right, we have a bar for scrolling the page up and down when there's more on the page than can be shown at one time. If your document is also wider than the app window, there will be a similar bar at the bottom of the screen so you can move the page left and right. Also at the bottom of the screen, we have a few features we'll zoom in on real quick. At the bottom right, we have a slider for zooming in and out of the document. It defaults to 100%. Next, we have the views. By default, Print View is selected so you can have a better sense of how what you type will look on a printed page. But you can set it to Web View, which is the right button, if you want to preview how it would look on a web page, or Reading View, the left button, to mimic how it would look in a book. Next, we have Focus Mode, which will hide all the menus and black out the screen to make it easier to focus on writing. Focus Mode looks like this. Moving your cursor to the top or bottom of the screen will bring the menus back so you can turn focus mode off again. Display settings is mostly for if you're having display issues. Lastly, we have a page and word counter, as well as the option to turn predictive text on or off. Let's go back to the top. Here we have the tabs. The Home tab is selected by default, but each tab will open its own menu on the ribbon. Here we have switched to the Insert tab, and we can see the entire menu below has changed. What you see in the menu will change based on how much room there is on your screen and the specific version of Word you are using. In this example, we are looking at a condensed view of the January 2025 update, so your menu may have more or different options listed. Clicking File will take us to this screen, where we can either make a new document like before, or open other documents we may have on our computer. We can also save any changes we've made, copy a file with a new name using Save As, or look at printing, sharing, and exporting. We'll go over some of these important features later, but for now, let's press the back button to return. If our menus have a down arrow, that means that there's more we can see if we click there. And if we have this little icon in the corner, we can click it and launch a separate dialog box, which is where we can find many advanced features. To close this menu, we'll press either the Cancel button or the X in the top right corner. Stepping over to Google Docs, when we open a new document, we see something like this. We can see some features are shared with Word, with menus at the top and a scroll bar on the right. When we want to change a file's name in the Word app, we need to use the Save As feature, but in Google Docs, we only need to click on the title and then we can edit it. Instead of tabs, Docs uses drop-down menus that you can use by clicking the title for that menu. Let's start by clicking File. Here we find many of the same options that we find in the File menu for Microsoft Word. One difference is that instead of Save As, we have Make a Copy, which if anything is more clear about what the button does. Below the menu, we have this toolbar with some of the most commonly needed features you'll use in Google Docs. This menu has many features in common with the Office Home tab, including ways to change the font, format paragraphs, add bulleted lists, and more. We'll go into these menus in more detail when the need arises. Let's look at one more thing before we wrap up this lesson. Before you get started on a document, you need to make sure your page is right for the job. You'll do this with Page Setup. For most projects, the default page setup will be good enough, so you won't need to make extra changes. But for now, we're going to look at the differences between the two apps. In Word, this is done with the Layout tab. Here you can edit the margins on your paper, change its orientation from portrait to landscape, and even set up columns and rules for indents. In Google Docs, this is found in Page Setup under the File menu, but it's much simpler in scope, only letting you change the orientation, paper size, and margins. This is because many of the options that Word would put in Layout are instead found in other places, like the Format menu when you use Docs. This is not to say that Docs has done it wrong while Word has done it right, or vice versa, but to illustrate that while there are many similarities between these products, there are also differences, and learning those differences is important to improving our skills. While these two applications are doing the same job, the difference between them can make moving from one to the other challenging. Still, it's important to be flexible in the modern workplace. As we go forward in these lessons, we will demonstrate how to do important and relevant tasks in each toolset. In the end, we hope you will feel more confident with both.